listen up. Y'all, it's the queen of automation, Megan Donnelly, here to give you inspiration. Founders and business owners gather round. I'ma show you how to build systems that'll astound. Streamline your processes, no need for complicated.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Queen of Automation podcast, where we talk about why technology is only good when it works and how I help you make it work. Today is going to be super exciting and fun because we are talking to Danny DelVecchio, and I hope I didn't butcher your name. I practiced.
No, perfect.
And Danny is such a cool guy because he is a video producer / strategist, and he helps entrepreneurs like myself and other kind of solopreneurs, small business owners get more comfortable on camera. So this is kind of nerve-wracking for me because he's a video guy, and here we are doing video podcast with a video guy. We had we've had a few of you on, a few different video guys, so it's kind of always intimidating for me because this is kind of my first, last year was the big year for starting video for me. But I can't wait for you to introduce yourself and tell us all about you because your journey has been super exciting. You started out on Instagram, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, I did. I started I started creating content on Instagram, I guess, in 2021, maybe. Yeah. But I started as a podcaster, really. I was a podcaster back in 2014, 2015. I started promoting my podcast back then, and I was promoting it on social media. So I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, and I was on Twitter for my podcast stuff. But then when I started to put out content for my business, that was on Instagram. Yeah.
Very cool. So tell everybody where you're tuning in from, and then go ahead and just talk about exactly what you do and what you offer and how you do it. Because that's
sure. Yeah, sure. So Danny DelVecchio, I am in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been living here for the past 2.5 years. If you couldn't tell by my accent and everything, I was born and raised in New York. So let's see, my business, basically what it's called Video on Easy Mode. So that's, I'm kind of settling on a company name here. That's been the name of the service, but pretty sure it's going to become the name of the company. But anyway, so essentially what I do is, you kind of mentioned it, I help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, founders, companies create video content pretty much specifically for LinkedIn. The idea is to create video content in a pretty quick, streamlined process that enables people to get a good, high quality content in a short period of time. And I do everything through a virtual studio, and everything from coming up with the kind of ideas, topics, hooks, prompts, whatever you want to call them, and then guiding people through the process of filming and creating their videos, and then delivering the final videos. So we do all of the post-production for all of the videos. So editing and captions and zooming in and that type of stuff. So we handle all of that piece of video. And then, again, our videos are, like I said, focused on LinkedIn. We mainly deal with short form, but obviously those short form videos can go to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and, all the platforms, TikTok, which it's back after being down for 16 hours.
That we'll talk about that because I was actually thinking, I knew I had a conversation with you, and we're gonna have that conversation. So thank you, because this is great, and I can't wait to ask you that question. But first, we're gonna start with the work-life balance question, because that's what I always ask all my guests this question, because I find it fascinating the different types of answers you get. We're all different type of people that we are, and I don't believe in work-life balance. Right? When you're an entrepreneur, well, actually, it's not even when you're an entrepreneur. As humans, we're one human, right? We can't separate it. It's like you have a life, and you're either working on work or you're working on personal, or it's one life, right? So I always tell people to, instead of focusing on building a business or a career, build a life that you love. Focus on building a life that you love. And then everything that you're doing inside your career and your job is kind of a tool to get to that life, right? Money is a tool. You can always create more of it. You can go be an Uber driver if you want. Go sell ice cream. You can make a lemonade stand. I don't care what you do, but there's always things, it's kind of changed my perspective over the last couple of years, thinking about that mindset shift of all of these are tools to get me to where I want to be in life. right? And how I want to live my life. So I'd love to get your perspective on that, because you are also a solopreneur. You have a small team like I do, but it's mostly you, right? Like running the show. And
Yeah.
as a small business owner, work-life balance, as you want to call it, doesn't really exist. Like, am I totally crazy in thinking this way?
No, I made some videos about this. I'm pretty sure I said work-life balance is bullshit. Yeah, I don't like work-life balance, like separates work from life. It means that there's work and then there's life. And if I'm working and I'm not living at the same time, then I don't really want to be in that. Whatever work that is, like,
Yeah,
I don't want
exactly.
any of that. Right. Like, I want work to be a part of my life that I actually enjoy. And I've worked hard to get that, to have that situation. And I've always I've been in plenty of roles where, even when I was in corporate, where I enjoyed what I was doing, right? I was a sales director and a sales trainer, and I enjoyed getting up there and doing trainings, and I enjoyed managing my team and running meetings and doing one-to-ones and doing interviews and all that stuff. Like, I enjoyed that stuff, right? So if you get to the point where, you're like, you hate work so much that it doesn't feel like you're living, like, it's time for a change.
Well, and you can't really, I mean, what does that mean? What's funny to me, the way you just described that is great, because listen up, people. Again, another answer. We got like the same like feeling, but a different answer. It's so funny because everyone that I've talked to feels the same way, but they say it in a little bit of a different nuance, right? Like, it's a little bit of, and what you just said resonated, because so what does that mean? If it's work-life balance, if I'm working, I'm dead? Like, I don't, like, you're still a human, you're still alive, like, it's still life, you're still working, you know what I mean? It's so funny that you can't separate, like, it's not two of you. If I could clone myself, I mean, we'd all be bazillionaires, right? Like, if every single one of us could clone ourselves, and then it would be fine. Then you'd have a work and you'd have a you know?
Yeah, I'd send somebody to work that could actually get benefits and pay for my health.
Exactly. It's hilarious, all the different answers that you see about, but I totally agree with you. It's total bullshit, because it's not actually possible to separate your work life from your personal life. It's the same thing. And it's interesting to me.
And I seem to manage pretty well, right? I mean, for the most part, I'm up early. I'm up, a couple hours before everybody else in the family. So, I can get some work done. I can hit the gym. I can get all my work done during the day and still have time to cook dinner for my family. I cook dinner for my family every night. I eat dinner with the family every night. I shut my phone down from, basically from 5 p.m. to 8:30 when I'm hanging out with the kids. And, and then a lot of times at 8:30, like, I'll go back to work.
Yep, it's great, right? But you get to choose.
And sometimes I don't.
It's your choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, sometimes I don't. Sometimes, like, I'll take meetings at night. Sometimes I'll just work on content at night, writing, whatever. I don't get the.
I don't either. I think the best part about it is, one, there's no blueprint for everybody in the world, right? Like, we're all different, and you just need to do you. Like, you do what works for you. Like you said, like, if your kids go to bed, like, and it sounds like you still have younger kids. I have teenagers, so they're usually up all hours of the night anyway. Right? So I just shut my office door if I want to choose to work at night. But yeah, it's the same thing. You pick and choose when you work. You pick and choose when you don't work. And it's a great thing if you can figure out how to do it effectively and still be successful, right? If you can't, then you probably need to adjust what you're doing. But, it's everybody's thing. I want to jump in and talk about, let's discuss the thing you mentioned before first, the TikTok thing. Mind blowing. There were people like on Facebook posting videos like crying. No, I get it, right? Like, there's an entire livelihood that would have been destroyed. Like there are people that make a decent living, a really good freaking living off of advertisers and TikTok and video and stuff. And you're from the video world, right? Like, it is a thing. What I thought was crazy though, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, what I thought was crazy is, okay, I get it. And maybe this is just the older adult in me having been around in this industry for a while, right? Like, I get it. Like, TikTok's gone. That's probably that is a devastating blow to people who are entrepreneurs on TikTok, but pivot to YouTube, pivot to, like, it's like you're already doing video, and I get it. It's different. It's a different type of video, but it's like one of those things where for those people that were able to create a successful, like, $1 million business on TikTok, there's no doubt in my mind, if you were able to figure that out and figure that engine out, there's no way that you couldn't, like, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take a hot break here for a second. And then I'm just going to pivot and I'm going to start figuring this out over here. Which, again, easier said than done, right? Like, it's not like it's an overnight thing, but I would love to get your take on this because
of course. I mean,
crazy, right?
Yeah. So some of these people that if their business was so dependent on TikTok, right? Then they, knowing that this was coming, that this was an option, like that there was a possibility, they should have been planning for like the worst case scenario. Now, we already know it's back. Like, it's already back. Like, it's already up and running again. It took about 16 hours for it to be down. And ultimately, I don't think it's going to go away. I think that they're going to figure out how to negotiate it. And maybe they're going to figure out, whether they're going to have an American company come in and buy it, or they're going to have some sort of regulation on how they can collect data, or, there's going to be some sort of agreement that's able to be reached. I did feel bad I felt bad for anybody that, again, that's their entire business, right? Yeah. Like if it's like, I know that if LinkedIn shut down tomorrow, like, it would be devastating for my business. Devastating. Like, I would have a major, I wouldn't be crying on Facebook or anything like that, but I would certainly be upset, but I'd also be thinking about how to pivot. And this is where I kind of recommended yesterday when, I made the video about TikTok being down was, I'm working. I have spent the last 2 years 100% focused on building my entire business and brand on LinkedIn, with a couple of channels kind of warming up in the background. So I started to build my email list a little bit last year. And then I started to build my YouTube channel a little bit last year. Like, I put 75 long form videos out last year, but barely even said anything about it. This year, I'm focused on growing those 2 channels more. I just got my first client from YouTube at the beginning of the year. So after putting out all this content last year, finally, obviously seeing some return on it. And I'm also growing faster so far in 2025. I think I've added like 75 subscribers or something in year to date, which is like way more than any month that I had all of last year. So already, as I'm starting to put some more effort into growing these other channels, and my email's working too. I sent out a few emails. I'm in the middle of an email campaign right now, and I've booked like a bunch of appointments from it. There is, I'm planning, and I am building these kind of contingencies. If something does happen with LinkedIn, I mean, I could get banned. They can shut the platform down. Now, again, these things are highly unlikely that I get banned forever or they shut the platform down or whatever. But you need to like at least have some sort of alternative. And for anybody that was on TikTok that had zero alternative, like, that's not smart. But I also, like, to me, the most valuable and like coolest thing about TikTok, the thing that has me the most interested in it, where for myself, as like I see as like a potential business opportunity, is not necessarily signing clients through TikTok, but the TikTok shop. I think that, I can promote products like that are related to video that I use on the TikTok shop, and I can use that as like an additional revenue stream. Or, maybe if I have a paid course or something like that, I can use the TikTok shop to sell that course and then use that as an additional revenue stream. And I see that as like a high potential thing that I could potentially do in my own business. So I started to put some content on TikTok. I have not like been really committed to it. like I said, my channels this year that I'm going to work on growing are YouTube and email. So I can't really commit a lot of my time and effort into TikTok right now. But
Yeah.
I see the value in it, and I hope it doesn't go away for the sake of all the businesses that are already out there, and for the sake of like the fact that I do see an opportunity to use it and capitalize on it.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know what I'm going to say as an ops girl, get that email list going, because none of your stuff is safe with any social platform. You're right with LinkedIn, it's a little dicey, just the whole Microsoft thing. I don't know if you've ever kind of got into the whole like Microsoft politics or anything like that, but Microsoft unfortunately has a history of like buying up companies and then they end up not doing well, right? And now LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and so there's this kind of stigma that, oh man, like when are they going to mess it up? Like when is this thing going to, and you're right. We don't know, right? Like, but there's never a known, right? And YouTube is owned by Google, so it's more than likely that it's not going away, but you don't know. Facebook, Instagram, X, like all of these things, if they go away tomorrow and you don't have any list at all, you're dead in the water. You have absolutely no way of contacting anybody, right? Unless you can figure out how to cold call, which again, you've done sales before. So if you had 2 boots on the street, you'd probably be like, all right, well, here's the phone. I'm going to pick up and, start calling people. So at least you have that background. Some people don't even have that,
I would do
right?
it.
And so they're relying so heavily on all these channels. And I'm like, and I'll always ask people, what happens when that channel goes away tomorrow? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, you don't own this. This is rented land. LinkedIn, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, it's all rented land. Pinterest, it's all rented land, right? And so kudos to you for doing the list thing. Always reach out to me if you have questions, if you want help, like please reach out to me. You know where to find me, because that has been my biggest kind of soapbox preaching moment in the last couple of years, because I was floored at how many people I talk to that still aren't doing that. I'm like, how in this day and age, after like, dare I say the word COVID, like I hate saying that word, right? And bringing it back up. But after all of this stuff that's happened over the last like 10 years in the digital world and just in the world in general, it's like, get a list. That's the most important thing you could do, so that when something does happen, you have the ability to talk to people. You have the ability to contact people. And if you can, just a suggestion, and this is for not just you, but anybody who's listening that's doing what you're doing, realizing, oh shit, better get some non-rented land lists going, right? If you can, figure out a way to get people's phone numbers. Now, psychologically, someone will give you their email address before they'll give you their phone number, right? Like they just psychologically feel like that's the safer option. They don't want you to have their phone number. But if you can figure out a way to get their phone number, then you're even better, right? Like keep it in a database. You have a name, a phone number, an email. Those are the only 3 things you need. The world, every single social media platform shuts down tomorrow. Danny can contact his customers and say, hey, like, whoops, like the world blew up. But guess what? You and I can still have a chat about video or whatever you want, right? Like we can still make videos, even though there's nowhere to put them. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I was talking with another big name. I won't mention any names because I don't like to embarrass anybody that had that same kind of thing where they were like a super huge creator. And I was just really shocked that they were kind of just now in the last like year and a half starting to grow their list. And I was like, what have you been doing? And they're like, well, and I'm like, okay, do this more. I'm like, okay. It's kind of funny how I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we all know we should do it, right? Like, it's not like we don't know that we should do it, but you get busy, right? Like being an entrepreneur, you're busy, you're doing other things, you're busy working on whatever you're working on. And it's almost like, oops, I forgot to do this thing. It's like second nature.
Yeah, and I don't love writing either, right? So like email is like consistently writing. So I found some other ways to do it, right? I found some other ways to like, take these long form YouTube videos that I'm doing and use that as my email newsletter, or And then again, I've just been practicing my writing also, and I've gotten better at it. And, I could turn some of my videos into words for sure. That's probably the best.
Exactly.
That's probably the best way for me to do it. So yeah, I mean, look, it's important to have it. And the way that to me, the best way that I've been able to grow the list is not by lead magnets or anything like that. It's essentially by people that have booked on my calendar, or people that have attended events that I've gone to. Like I hosted 2 events. It was last week. I think it was a week before, and I had 60 people register. And I had like 40 something people of those 60 that showed up between the 2 events, like 30 people each. And like those 60 emails that I collected, or some of them were already on my list. So some of those people came from my list. So I think it was about 40 or 50 emails that I collected. That's the most emails that I've collected from any of the other attempts that I've had to collect emails.
Pro tip, guys. Pro tip. What he just said, if you are listening to this, rewind it and listen to it again. Pro tip right now. Because anytime you collect somebody's email address, like you have an event or they book a call or whatever, all you need to be able to email that person again on a promotional list is a itty little blurb of content that says, if you are filling out this form, you agree to receive marketing communications from XYZ. Done. That is their opt-in. If they are doing that, so you can double opt in someone when they sign up for an event, or when they sign up to book a call with you, because they have to fill out the form to book a call, right? To get the emails, the SMS messages, whatever you're going to give them as a reminder for the call. But then that also kind of gives you the double opt-in, right? So like you can now email them your campaigns or your newsletter or something like that. Obviously, with the preface of like, you can say you can opt or you can cancel at any time, right? Like, but that gets people there. And then Danny's content's awesome. So what's he going to do? He's going to give them killer content, and then they're going to want to stay, right? But getting them on the list is a lot easier than people think it is. They think they need to have the checkbox and the opt-in, and you do, but legally, all you have to have is that little verbiage, one little line of text, and it covers you, right? But I will say this, put it on there, because if you don't put it on there, and then you get people pissed off and they spam you, and you definitely don't want to get your spam rate and your bounce rate and all that crap up. But
right,
it's not as hard as people make it out to be, right? Like, and that is your list, but that's exactly it. So I'm so glad you went down that road, because
host events. Like if you can host an event, not only does it like help you build trust and get, have people like get, a little bit more of you, right?
Yep.
It brings people it gets people to the list. That's it.
Exactly.
And then again, when they start seeing, and maybe they might not be ready to buy when they're doing that event, but They continue to see the campaigns, they continue to follow you, and ultimately, at some point, they'll be ready.
At some point, you're going to get their email, and then you're gonna have whatever that verbiage on the text is, and you're going to be able to email them again, which is great. So you're doing all the right things that you need to be doing, which is awesome. I want to talk about the rest of your stuff, though. We have a few more minutes left. Because I'm fascinated. I know that you and I both use Riverside, but I would love to hear about your operations, because podcasting, video production, like there's so many things out there, right? Like, and what's amazing to me, and I know you've heard this because I hear you talk about it all the time. You talked about it when you came into Brand Built and you were talking to the group of people, and I hear you talk about it in your videos all the time. People are so afraid of video, right? Like they're afraid they need this fancy camera and they need fancy lighting and they need all the stuff. They can't get started because they don't have any of the stuff. Bullshit. I'm using my iPhone. I have a $10 ring light up here from Amazon, and like one of those like flat LED, like it's like a ring light, but it's long and flat over here. Cost me like $10.99. So you're talking like $20 in lighting. And an iPhone it's my phone. So of course I have that. And I did buy a microphone, but that was my choice. I was told by, when you came into Brand Built and you were talking about it, like you don't need, like, you could walk around with your iPhone. You were like giving the advice of like, just hold your iPhone and talk to it. Like, you know, like just get started, just do something. So I would love to hear about how you're doing it, and then how you advise, like if somebody were to come to you and say, okay, Danny, I want to start tomorrow, or I want to start in 5 minutes, I want to create a video. What should I do? What do I need?
Yeah. So from a tech perspective, the only thing that you need is a smartphone. Like that's the only thing that's 100% necessary that you need to record these days. The quality of the smartphone cameras right now are like the same quality of the cameras that they were using to film movies in the 90s and early 2000s. Okay. That's how good the camera is in your iPhone or your Android phone or whatever it is. Yeah. Right. So if you want to take your video up one level, there's two things that will make it nicer: light and sound. Good light and crisp sound, right? So good light could literally be you opposite a window. Like that's enough. That's good enough light. I recorded 5 videos in the airport just holding my phone, and I posted a couple of the videos from the airport, and one of them, like, I think one of them got like 100,000 views or something like that, right? So nice. You can create from wherever you are because you have this amazing video camera essentially in your pocket, right? But good lighting, and again, you can get good lighting, like just like Megan is saying, like a $30 ring light with a stand for your phone. Yep. is great. It's perfect. That works. A $30, $40 investment in a lapel microphone is going to give you the crisp sound that you need. You don't need to spend $300 on the lapel microphone if you don't want to. Like you can get it for 20, like I think you could probably get one for $20, and it's going to make it sound better. So if you're really that worried about it, like you can do, I call it like the $50 level up. Get the ring light, get the lapel microphone, and for $50, you've leveled up your recording space or whatever. And that's
the quality is, I am actually super impressed by, I didn't end up buying one, but that was the advice. I know what I was going to say. One of my favorite posts by Danny, you'll have to go out on LinkedIn and check out his stuff. It was a while ago, so you're going to have to scroll through his stuff anyway, because it's great content, was you and your son on the beach with your iPhone. And yep. I remember it. Example. That is why, well, that is one of the reasons I was like, oh, Andrea, you got to reach out to Danny, because I think that we should have him on the podcast. Let's like have a conversation with him, because I was like, this is the best. Like, here he is in dad mode on the beach, showing you that like all you need is your iPhone. Like you can like while you're with your family, like doesn't matter where you are, as long as there's light, like you just need your iPhone. And it was such a cool post, and it resonated, and it did really, really well. I remember you got a really good
I did a whole series on like 30 video tips in 30 days. Yeah. And I think that was the number one tip. I think that was the number one like most viewed video in that entire series.
I mean, besides the fact that your kid is cute, right? Like that always helps.
Yeah, like, no, the airport one had him in it also. That's funny that the airport one also had him in it, which there's a couple reasons that it works. Number one, it shows people that like, again, you're not worried about it being perfect. Yeah. And then the other thing is it just like, it builds connection to you, because it's like, oh, it's a real person. Yeah. Like having your kids run around in the background is actually kind of like a good thing. I had one of the first clients that I ever worked with coaching, she makes $70,000 a year selling healthy household products. And all she does is like post on Instagram stories.
Home cleaning products?
Like home cleaning products and essential oils and that type of stuff, right? And nice. She like I said, she's making about $70,000 a year. All she does is post on Instagram stories, like. And her posts are like her kids are running around in the background, like while she's trying to do a video, and she doesn't care. You know what? That's exactly why she's doing so many sales.
I mean, that's great though, because and I think this again is something that I've heard you talk about. Perfection is not what you're going for. Like people don't want a perfected like studio shot video all the time. Like they want real. They want to know that you're human. They want to see the mistakes and the bloopers and like we we don't, unless there's a huge, like, oh, my dog has to go outside and I have to like cut it. We don't like edit these really heavily, right? Because the little flubs and it makes it real, right? Like the little like, oops, I think the flaws are what makes your videos. And like, again, another one of my favorites is Alex. And I know you, Alex Sheridan. I know you know him.
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
well.
a big fan of his
Like,
too. It's great.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think he takes his stuff to a whole different level. Like he has a guy that like follows him around with a camera, which I think is insane.
It's funny.
I can't even
the
imagine.
guy follows him around with an
like.
iPhone, though. He's not having a guy follow him around with like a professional camera setup. No, the guy just follows him around with an iPhone.
Walking around. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So cool. So cool.
It's awesome.
Before we jump off, I would love to understand, and now I'm going to lose my train of thought. I know what I was going to say, because I actually got, again, another thing that I got from you, see, Danny, I'm learning from your content all the time. You and I don't want to like break out any of the secrets, so I'll figure out a way to say this. But Danny has a really unique way of bringing out the best in people on videos. He does an interview, which is so freaking cool, because most people who are afraid to just turn on the camera and start talking to it, like it's not easy unless you're just good at it, right? So, and most people aren't. Like and don't be afraid of that. But one of the best tips I ever got from you, and again, I'm pretty sure it was when you came into Brand Built Community and you were talking about like what you did in your process. And I started doing that. And my producer, Andrea, who's in the background, everybody say hi. She now, like, we set up video times now, just like what you said. You're like, just pick a time and just have somebody, whoever it is, and just have them ask you questions and have a conversation with that person, and then just edit that person out. Boom! I was like, no, it can't be that easy. I'm not going to look that comfortable. Totally works. 100%, like 100%. So I can this is why all of your videos are awesome, because now I get it. Because I'm like, oh, so they're having a conversation with a human on the other side of the camera. This makes way more sense to me now. Like, it's just mind blowing how the simple things, right? We all say, keep it stupid simple, right? Like, this is one of those things where stop overthinking it. Just do what Danny says. Like, keep it simple. Just do it.
Yeah, anybody can replicate what I do in my business, right? Like anybody can replicate it. It's easy to do. Again, just go on Zoom or just with a friend, set up your iPhone to record and have your friend ask you some questions, you record it, done, right? Like that's it. That's like, is our service better? Yeah, sure. Because of course we're coming up with topics specifically for you. We're doing some research on your target market. You're working with me who basically thinks in hooks and how to display the video, and how to make sure that your messaging is on point and it's concise and it's always aligned to your brand and your business. We do all the video editing so you don't have to do any of the production. We do this all in an hour. So like, yes, there is advantages to working with somebody that does this every day, right? But 100%. Ultimately, I can tell you exactly how to do it for yourself. Like, you can go out and do this for yourself. It's just a matter of like, is it worth the time that it takes for you to do it?
Exactly. And I think that's the key is I'll tell you guys right now, it is time consuming. And if I didn't have a few people on my team, I would be hiring Danny, having him do it anyway, because it's time consuming. It's not that it's super overly hard, but you also do it a little differently. And like, because of you're doing the upfront research of the person that you're interviewing and like of the person that comes to you and hires your team. And then the video editing and production is no joke. Right? Like you have to really like doing that stuff, because it is.
Yeah. And I don't do any of it myself, obviously. I am very fortunate that I have a partner on the production side. I work with their agency. I've been working with them for about a year now. And they,
That's awesome.
Maybe a little longer because they do my YouTube channel as well. So I've been working with them for over a year, and They do a fantastic job with our clients. We have a system that's built so that our clients have direct access to communicate to the editing team. So if they need revisions, or if they have specific style that they're trying to achieve with a video, or if there's a specific inspiration that they want to provide to the video editing team, that say, hey, can you replicate this? Or, hey, can you change up the brand colors? We just changed up our brand fonts and colors. Can you do that? Like, every single one of our clients has a direct link right to the editing team,
That's awesome.
to be able to do that. So, we built that into the program last year because that was a big headache. That was a big headache for me on the operations side, because what kept happening before I had that was like the client would come to me and they would send me an email and they'd be like, Danny, I need revisions on this thing. And then like I would go back and I would say, all right, editing team, here's the email that they need the revisions on. And then if the editing team had questions, it was like, well, Danny, hey, can they fix it? And I'm like, and now it's this back and forth. And I'm the person that's dealing with this whole thing and wasting my time where I could be either working with a client or doing sales or making more content that attracts people to the business. So, the delivery system that built, shout out to Ken's helped me with that, is a huge advantage to just save me a ton of headaches.
Yeah. You heard it here, guys. Onboarding and automations, they are no joke. But again, you always hear me say, don't do it to just do it, but you have to have a purpose. Like, there's absolutely no reason for Danny to be the middleman, right? There's no reason for that. Like, that was just an added extra step that didn't need to happen. So what do? If you're reverse engineering, you figure out how to cut the middleman out and you automate it, or you put a system in place so that it fixes the things. Operations it's really easy when it's done right. It makes you how much happier are you now because of it?
Oh my God. That was, and it was such a problem. And like, it was like practically fixed overnight. It felt like it was just like, here's the system. Let's put it in place. Let's use it. And it was like, this is it. Like, I don't have to do this ever again anymore. I've been stressing about this for how long?
Yeah. How many hours do you think you saved a week by just implementing that one simple operation step of cutting you out as the middleman?
I mean,
15?
at least like 2 hours. I would say at least 2 hours a week of back and forth like emails. And it's not even about the time saving. It's about how bad I am at keeping up with it. Like, I am not good at keeping up with like my email and like trying to keep up with my DMs. And like, it's just, I like to be the content. Yeah. I like to have the sales conversations, and I like to work with the clients. I don't like to do anything else. Like, everything else is like outside of what I like and enjoy doing. So let me just make the content, let me work with the clients, and let me,
run the business.
Do the sales meetings, like run sales meetings, and I will be extremely happy and not have to worry about anything else. That's what I want.
It's amazing how many owners and founders that I talk to, and myself included, because my team will tell you this. I'm always the bottleneck. I'm like, oh, hey, sorry, my fault. Like, it's like, oh, that was an email? Yeah, I didn't get that. Because it's just how, the nature of the beast. Generally speaking, and and maybe not always, but generally speaking, owners and founders should not be the same people running the operations. It's just a bad idea all around. Like, the people running and steering the ship and guiding the rest of everybody else should not be the people that are running the operations.
Totally.
It's crazy how that happens, but we're at time. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for coming on. I do want you to just tell everybody where they can find you. We, of course, will, down in the show notes, we'll link to it so people can just click and find you.
Absolutely. I mean,
tell everybody where they can get you.
Sure. The number one place, obviously, that you can find me is LinkedIn, right? So if you just search Danny DelVecchio on LinkedIn, or I'm pretty sure that if you just type in LinkedIn video, like, you're going to find me these days.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. Or you can check me out on YouTube, which is at Coach Danny D. So just my best content is there. That's where my best content lives. Oh yeah, the long form videos that I do like are insanely like valuable. I just give everything away. I tell you exactly what to do. So that's the best thing to do. Subscribe to that.
Go see him on YouTube. Then he's going to tell you exactly what to do.
That's the
And
secret.
then-
There's 498 people that know the secret right now.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to YouTube, you're going to watch it, you're going to figure out what to do, you're going to try it a few times, and then you're going to hire him because you're going to realize how much time it takes to edit and do all the stuff.
That's it. That's the idea.
Right? Exactly. All right, guys, remember, technology is only good when it works. Thank you, Danny, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.